Hello there, I'm Suneil Angel. I want to thank you for clicking on this video. Before I start, I just want to get it out there. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. Not the biggest and definitely not the go-to person when it comes to Resident Evil lore. But I would like to think of myself as someone who enjoys or tries to enjoy everything Resident Evil related. Be it the CGI movies from Capcom, the games, the live action movies, or even the books. I have not consumed every piece of Resident Evil content out there, but I try my best to indulge in whatever I could get my hands on. The reason I'm saying this is because at the time of me writing the script for this video, the new Resident Evil series dropped on Netflix and oh boy, I was struggling to get through it. There was so much wrong that I nearly tapped out halfway through the first episode. But don't worry, we will go through it, and as much as I hate to go through the entire episode again, I will talk you guys through some of it and what I thought of it. After all, this is my honest opinion. You clicked on it to get my honest opinion, and an honest opinion you shall receive. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Resident Evil Netflix series, not to be confused by the other Netflix series called Infinite Darkness, which is really a 2-hour-long movie split in 4 episodes, is the newest addition to the live-action adaptation of the Resident Evil franchise, a series nobody asked for. After the debacle that was Welcome to Raccoon City, which was more or less a dumpster fire that once again no one asked for, you'd think the Netflix series would come in and put those fires out. But instead, the Netflix series is like that hobo whose bladder is filled with alcohol and is on that dumpster fire to make it worse. Right about now, you can tell what I feel about the Netflix series. It may come as a surprise to you, this is my opinion based on the first episode alone. And in this video, I will break down exactly what I did and did not like about the first episode. Before I carry on any further, I do want to throw it out there. I'm a published author and I'm currently working on a short series on my channel called My Big Titty Goth Girlfriend from Shadow Realm, which I am writing for shits and giggles. The point is, I know a thing or two about storytelling, character development, conflicts and payoffs in storytelling, and so on. Right. Let's get on with it. The episode opens up with this amazing shot of this bunny. Our leading lady, Jade, is introduced, who tells us that it's 2036 and the world has ended. I don't know about anyone else, but anytime I hear the world ending in Resident Evil live action adaptations, it just puts me off. This is why I'm not a big fan of Resident Evil movies that came after Apocalypse. The whole idea of Resident Evil is survival. Whether it is survival horror or survival action, the idea is that we as humans need to do whatever we can to survive, and we will stop the virus at all cost. Unlike the Western take, which is more about the humans failing to stop the virus, and now that the world has ended, we are doing everything we can now to survive. I don't know, but I feel like this is such a cop-out. I mean, if we still have a functioning society, the stakes are higher because then the entire humanity is at stake. But if the society has fallen and humanity is on the brink of extinction, then yes, surviving will be tough, but that means we as human beings have failed. I don't know, but that's my take. Also, can I just mention how horrible the green screen effects are here? Eesh. Then it cuts to the opening of the series, which I liked. Its simplistic nature was appealing, and I gotta say I liked how it blended with the background music. We are then introduced to Jade's family, who is having a video call with her. a family that is never mentioned ever again in the first episode. So either the family is dead and Jade was simply replaying an old video of her family to keep herself sane or motivated, which would explain the countdown at the start, to synchronize her words with whatever's happening on the video call. Or maybe it was just poor writing. I don't know. I've not seen the rest of the series yet. It's just that, the family is never mentioned again apart from this one little snippet here. We then see Jade take one of the rabbits in her collection someplace in London. She pricks it with a needle to draw out some blood as bait. It is then we get our first look at the zombies in the series. It seems like the smell of blood have brought them out. Yes, you heard that correct. The smell brought out the zombies. It is later explained in greater detail that corneas in the zombies have fried, so they are blind, but they have heightened sense of smell.
For about 2 or 3 years, the cornea's fried. Their hearing goes next, but their sense of smell, it keeps getting better.
Oh my god, corny, lame, boo, tomato, I'm throwing tomatoes.
Which is fucking stupid. And here's what I mean by it. If it is about smell, then any sort of perspirant can throw the zombies off. And even though it is shown earlier in the episode that Jade sprays a cologne on her to mask her scent, she would still sweat in her clothes. It's not like she's washing her clothes every day, is it? Where the hell is she washing her clothes from anyway? 24/7 Umbrella City laundrette? And I'm not making this up, she actually mentions the sweat part later on in the episode.
In the summer, people stink.
So even though it can get incredibly cold in England, she's still likely to sweat in her jumpsuit or whatever she's wearing. And if the zombies can indeed smell, what about when she's on her periods? It has been established that Jade has been out in the field for 6 or at least 7 months. No, 6 months, sorry. She must have had 6 or 7 or maybe more periods. What about then? Just remember, a tiny drop of blood brought out this horde of zombies. Just imagine period blood constantly flowing for days. But she would survive that easy because plot armor, and trust me, this is one superpower that will activate on numerous occasions in this episode. Here's my final point. When the rabbit escapes, Jade makes this entry in her voice recorder, but as she gets up, she cuts herself. So the zombies can smell her blood that is on the same skin that she had just covered with cologne earlier. I mean, you don't even need bullets to survive in this apocalypse. All you need is an antiperspirant. Wow, these zombies will have a field day trip at a Comic-Con. There is an anime called High School of the Dead which had the same kind of formula. Zombies were blind, but instead of smell, it was their hearing. So in other words, the characters were forced to keep the noise down. One gunshot would attract the zombies around them, but if they keep the noise down, they can walk right past them. It just added a little bit of complexity, something Netflix's Resident Evil dropped the ball with in the first episode. By the way, it's a nice anime. I would recommend it if you can look past all the boobas and the upskirt shots that are littered throughout the anime. So the zombies chase, and as Jade is making her way to the safe haven, she's grabbed by a zombie. And even though Jade is struggling to get away and a lot of zombies were chasing her along with the one that just grabbed her, they just shamble in the background because plot armor. I mean, seriously, where is their super smelling powers now? So after freeing herself from the zombie that didn't bite her or scratch her or anything, if only Dale from The Walking Dead was that lucky, Jade manages to incinerate the zombies around her. As Jade surveys the aftermath, she is attacked by a centipede monster, which I think is supposed to be the same monster from Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, called the Gravedigger. I guess, but I'm not sure. The screen cuts to black and we are taken back to 2022, which is 3 months before the big viral outbreak, I guess. And when the scene was playing out, it was only then I realized why people think Billie Eilish is overrated. We are then introduced to our three main characters in this time period. The Black Albert Wesker, played by Lance Reddick, who also voiced Zavala and made the meme. You know, the meme.
Here I come.
All I have to do to make them end you is to tell them you have a fancy new gun, or that Eris can make you into one. So, think about that before you tell us to bow to your sorry ass.
And you know what? I'm gonna say it right now. Lance Reddick is an amazing actor who does very well with the script that has been given to him for this episode. But my goodness, why the heck did they cast him as Wesker? I mean, if they were making new characters, why the heck did they not make Lance Reddick a new character? Which would have been so much better. Anyways, you will see what I mean, but really dude, Lance Reddick is probably the only best thing about the entire episode. We are also introduced to a younger Jade who is not happy that she, her twin sister Billy, yes, twin sister.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
And her father Wesker moving to New Raccoon City. Why New Raccoon City? I don't know. Does that mean this city was set up after the Raccoon City incident? If that is the case, then that means this series is set up in the game universe, which would make no sense because at the start of Resident Evil 4, it is mentioned that Umbrella Corporation stocks plummeted and the corporation was finished after the incident. So how is this even possible? What the hell is going on? Anyways, as the scene continues, we can clearly establish one thing. Young Jade is a miserable, insufferable bitch. Even the script called her out on that.
You can drop it. Bitch act.
We are also introduced to Billy, and honestly, I like the exposition here that she had a rough time when she was 10, where she physically hurt some kid and she had to go to therapy, and because of that she built this issue about her confidence, or rather lack of. There was a ton of talking in the scene, but we are soon brought back to 2036 as Jade is trying to survive against the giant centipede. After being yeeted on the windscreen of a car that would have killed a normal human being, but not Jade because plot armor, she's rescued by 3 people with assault rifles who shoot the centipede down before it could devour her. Yes, 3 people with assault rifles killed that ginormous thing. How did they find her? What were they doing out there? Who cares? They just happened to be there to save Jade because, once again, plot armor. We are then told that Jade is a survivor. More on that later, obviously. We are taken back to 2022 again, where young Jade continues to act like a bitch.
Daddy, chill.
We also see Wesker taking blood samples of her daughters and even injecting himself with some.
What the hell is even that?
We are also told that apparently the 2 sisters have never been sick, ever, so you know, that will come into place somewhere down the line. On the first day of school, and after establishing that Billy is a vegan in this one shot, we see Jade making friends and Billy keeping her distance from her because she doesn't want to cram her style. But it's not that bad. Billy tries to make some friends by showing off her scientific knowledge.
My sister. Twin sister.
You're twins.
I mean, same dad, but our moms with different egg donors, but the surrogate delivered us at the same time, so. Good science.
Okay, first up, nerd alert.
Nerd alert!
Second, why the heck do you want to give that kind of info out? You are setting yourself up to be bullied. You being a vegan doesn't help either. Yeah, there you go. Told you. So what did we learn from this, kids? Number 1, do not come across as a nerd. Number 2, don't tell people how you were conceived. And 3, don't be a vegan. Get some protein in yourself, because if Billy had some protein, you know, the good old steak, the red meat and all, she would have been able to kick this bully's ass. But since she didn't, she couldn't. Also, kids, this is not how you bully vegans, okay? You don't lay your hands on them. You simply order the biggest steak you can get and eat it in front of them. Oh yeah. On a serious note, this video does not condone bullying or harassment in any way, shape or form. YouTube, please do not demonetize me. Wait a minute, I'm not monetized in the first place. What the hell? So after getting a vegan ass handed to her by the school bully, which gave Jade another chance to be a bitch to her dad, we see Billy being turned into a school joke. Cut to 2036, and now a conscious Jade wakes up and finds herself in Brighton, but instead of looking for PewDiePie, she asks to go back to London to get her gear. Unfortunately, the man who saved her, Tate, tells her that it wouldn't be possible as the helicopter that was used to brought her in was not there at the moment, and there are a lot of zombies standing between her and London. And yeah, if you saw that scene and got Mad Max vibes as well, trust me, you're not the only one. Speaking of which, am I the only one who thinks this set looks a bit cheap? I mean, I can see what they were going for, but I don't know, it just looked, it looked like a film set. It didn't look organic, if you know what I mean. I don't know, it just looked cheap, man. Back to 2022, and Jade encourages to punch the bully on her tit. But Billy ends up apologizing, for which she gets a Subway wrap on her face. Subway, eat fresh. We also get a glimpse of things going bad as Wesker observes footage of some massacre taking place or something in Tijuana. We don't see any zombies or anything, but the guy standing next to Wesker says something about it happening again. Once again referencing to the games, which really is bugging me because this timeline should not exist. You know what? Screw it. Let's move on. I'm losing my mind over here. Let's just move on. The next scene we see the bully getting attacked by someone whose identity is kept a secret, but Billy is framed for it. And then we get the scene which really shows just how talented Lance Reddick truly is. This one scene shows Wesker's softer side towards his daughters, his guilt that he was not always there for them, his arrogance for what he does for Umbrella Corporation, and how irreplaceable he is, but most of all, just how intimidating he is as a person. This scene is very well written and has to be my favorite scene in the entire episode. Yes, you heard that correct. A series about Resident Evil with zombies and monsters, a series about survival, and my favorite scene is about a man just talking. And really, it was at that moment I realized that if it wasn't for the name Resident Evil, I probably wouldn't even watch it. So after such a powerful scene which really showed off just how talented Lance Reddick is, we are back to the boring storyline of Jade surviving in 2036. This is where Jade explains to Tate that T-virus is changing and the zombies are going to change with it, and that we should just learn to live with them. We also learn from this scene that whatever that is happening in 2036, all of that started from the new Raccoon City in 2022, and that Jade is one of the few survivors that Umbrella is looking for. Naturally, Tate sells out and informs Umbrella Corporation. Back to 2022, we see a young Billy making her way to the place where Wesker works to have lunch with him, and she notices rabbits being transported in cages, automatically assuming that these rabbits are being used for testing and powered by the self-righteous delusions that most vegans possess that animals should not be harmed. Billy hatches a plan with Jade to break in where her father works and free the animals or blow the whistle on whatever is going on there. And that right there, my children, is how you write insufferable characters. First up, really? Your father just bailed you out and you're going to rat on him and the department/company that he works for. And you're going to do that by throwing him under the bus.
Not cool. Not freaking cool.
You're going to use his logins to sneak in and free those animals, and at no point this dumb kid thought, hey, they might look in the camera feeds and see that we were there. They might look into the login charts and see our father's name in there. We could be jeopardizing his job. But hey, we gotta think of the rabbits. But when Jade asks Billy what their father is going to think, Billy responds with, I don't care. Like, you cared when he bailed you out, and now you're ready to destroy his life? His entire life? His work? I mean, it would have made sense if she had spoken to her father about the rabbits. You know, if there was a scene where she's talking to her father, you know, asking about the rabbits and stuff, and Wesker just straight up told her to mind her own business or something. But that didn't happen. There was no such scene like that. It would have made sense if she had seen the rabbits being injected with something that triggered some sort of emotional response from her. That would have made sense too. But she just saw rabbits in cages and assumed not only that it is for animal testing, but that they need to be rescued and she needs to be the one to do it. This part is also incredibly stupid. Billy, in one meeting with her father, has mapped out the entire place. There are no guards at the place because the script wanted to make it easier, you know, for the girls to sneak in. The entire thing is monitored by cameras, which at no point detect two unidentified people walking in the corridors. They steal their father's phone and use his voicemail greeting message to gain access to the building. They blind the cameras at the entrance with flashlights to hide their faces. The same cameras that did facial detection on Billy when she came in the afternoon. Yes, the security system does not stop them from gaining access because it couldn't see the face. Why? Because the plot wanted them in the building. Oh, and also, it is revealed that it was Jade that lamped the bully. So Jade wears this creepy mask and lamps the bully, and she had the bright idea to hide the mask in her sister's locker. I mean, Jesus Christ on a motorbike.
Jesus Christ on a motorbike.
Time jumps and we find ourselves in 2036. Again, where Umbrella Corporation makes a grand entrance. As the helicopters are flying towards the freehold, we see the light from the chopper illuminating some zombies on the ground, which I thought was a nice idea. It just goes on to show show the scale of the zombie apocalypse. It was a nice touch, not gonna lie, it was good, I was impressed. At this point, Jade foreshadows what we are all expecting, that Umbrella is going to steamroll over this place, which they do after introducing this baddie called Mr. Baxter. I mean, you look at the guy and you think he's gonna be some sort of a force to be reckoned with, that he would be taken seriously. Yeah, never mind. Also, can I just mention something here? Umbrella rolls in with machine guns, and even though this freehold has weapons, I mean, we saw them in the start, you know, with assault rifles and stuff, no one decides to aim back or says, hey, you know what, we're all friends, there's no need for that. It's like everything is convenient for everybody in this episode. So after Umbrella lays waste to everyone in the freehold, we jump back to a younger Jade and Billy who are about to free the bunnies, but instead, Jade uncovers a clip of whatever upset Wesker earlier, and Billy manages to free a zombie dog, or a Cerberus as it is called in the RE lore. Okay, first up, what the hell was she thinking? I mean, the cage doors has vents. You can get some pictures of whatever is in there without opening it. You said it yourself, Billy, that Umbrella is doing testing on animals. Of course, this cage is a bit too big for a rabbit, unless it's a giant freaking rabbit, but seriously, you can tell a cage this big won't have no cuddly rabbits. Second, how the hell did that Cerberus not lunge at Billy's face the moment she opened the door? I tell you how. Because plot armor was activated. So after Billy and Jade take the elevator back up, we see the alarm has been triggered, and even though the office has been locked down, the lights are flashing and all, we don't see any security personnel responding. You would think a facility where experimental tests are being done would have some sort of security, or Umbrella would send some sort of task force immediately the moment the alarms were triggered, but we don't see any of that throughout the duration of this set piece. Oh yeah, and the Cerberus knows how to use the elevator. It knows exactly which floor to go to, which button to press. How did it press those buttons is anyone's guess, because we all needed to establish just how good these girls are at surviving and overcoming. Well, at least one of them is. And at that point I realized just how incompetent the screenwriters are for this series. You have a zombie dog chasing you. The Cerberus, as you can tell, is about hip level high, so these girls decide to hide from it by sneaking under a table where the zombie dog can easily spot you. You would think they would hide someplace, higher where the dog cannot catch them. I mean, really, this is the dog and this is the table they're hiding under. The dog could have easily spotted them. Even if you say that the dog is distracted by the hologram, it should retain its sense of smell. I mean, this is what the creator of the series established in the first few minutes of the episode. And dogs have a heightened sense of smell to begin with. What the hell? The dog does eventually find them in a form of a poorly attempted jump scare. The sisters lock the Cerberus in the room and run out, but before they could escape the complex, in a homage to the classic Resident Evil jump scare, the Cerberus crashes through the glass and bites Billy. Jade, being a strong female lead, grabs a fire extinguisher and bashes the dog's existence out of the script. We think Billy is dead, but fast forward to 2036, we see Mr. Baxter tell Jade that her sister Billy is looking forward to meeting her or something. Jade, being a strong independent woman as she is, drops an expletive. Oh my goodness. She drops an expletive and jumps over the wall in a sea of zombies outside the freehold. Screen fades to black and credits roll. All of this could have been exciting, except number one, we know Billy is not dead because her face was all over the promotional material and in the thumbnails for future episodes. So, you can tell, she's not dead or anything. And second, Jade jumping in the sea of zombies outside the freehold, that would have been interesting if the zombies, could see Jade. I mean, they're blind, and as long as Jade doesn't bleed or does, something to mask her scent, she could walk right past them. And honestly, I can't be arsed about the characters. The teen version of Jade has put me off from the mature version of hers. I mean, really, the teen Jade just came across as annoying. I feel like when the scriptwriter was writing her character and when her character traits were being written, I feel like her trait was the word bitch in bold letters, because that's how she came across. I would have felt sorry for Billy, but considering she decided to throw her father under the bus right after he helped her out, I disconnected from her instantly. The two sisters were just insufferable throughout the first episode. I'm sure when it came to acting, these girls gave their best, but it's just the way they are written. Man, I'm struggling to connect with either of them. I was rooting for the Cerberus to tear them a new one. And I'm not even a dog person. Lance Reddick was brilliant in the episode, but I feel like they should have made him an original character instead of, just naming him Albert Wesker. The older version of Jade, I don't know, dude, I didn't find it relatable. I mean, they could have squeezed in some more info about her family, like, I don't know, a memento from her daughter that she holds dear to her, and the one she looks for, when she wakes up in the freehold, to give her some emotional depth. But it's like they mentioned her family in one scene and they never brought it up again. Also, Hollywood, take one note here: if you want to create a strong female character, don't make her look tough when it comes to her mannerism and stuff. You can create emotional vulnerability of any sort that she needs to overcome that would in turn make her come across as a strong female lead. For example, if If Jade had some sort of memento from her daughter that she holds close, it would have created some sort of emotional connection between Jade and the audience who may have similar connection with their own children. Also, it creates a bit more depth to the character, so she's not just a field researcher or a survivor who made it through the first outbreak. She's a mother, a wife, and there's a reason, she's doing what she's doing. And she's doing it for somebody that she cares for. She's doing it for somebody she wants to go home for, that kind of emotional connection that I feel the creators of the series should have established in the first episode. But unfortunately, they didn't. First episodes are always important in every series. It sets up characters that you will get to care for or root for, a storyline you look forward to as you move in the second episode, so on and so forth. But the first episode of Netflix's Resident Evil is very weak because it didn't set up the characters or the storyline well. Not for me anyway. There is nothing in the first episode that would make me look forward to the next one. Am I rooting for the characters? I freaking hate them. Lance Reddick? Yeah, I like him, but I don't think he fits the character of Wesker. We didn't see much of survival. Hell, aside from the first confrontation of Jade with the zombies that happened in the start of the episode and the Cerberus at the end of the episode, we didn't really see much. It felt more of a character drama than a zombie survival series. The use of shaky cam in some scenes was jarring, but other than that, the camera work looked solid. All the action was well framed, the characters were well framed, the time jumps were clear, and there was a clear distinct color palette that differentiated 2022 from 2036. The soundtrack was a bit of a hit and miss, mostly miss. The script and storyline was stupid, and it was obvious that all hurdles were removed to make things easy for the main characters because, and I will be using it for the last time in the video, plot armor. So here's my honest opinion on the first episode of Netflix's Resident Evil. It is boring. I was struggling to make it through the first episode, so my heart sank when I realized that there are 7 more episodes to this abomination. Rounding up each episode to 60 minutes, and there are 7 more hours of this bore fest. Now I can spend those 7 hours working on my animated show. Well, it's not really animated, but I still made it for shits and giggles. Catch some sleep, have a marathon on the hub, watch, The Boys or Terminal List on Amazon Prime, or I can spend 7 hours working on this video that you have just seen. Now that's 7 hours well spent. Also, I will not be investing any more time and effort in watching the rest of the episodes. There are better things to do in my life. Maybe the series pick up after, the first episode, but I'm not staying around to find out. What really disappointed me was how some reviewers were rating the series and giving it high scores. The Guardian wrote, "Resident Evil review. You will binge watch like never before. This gory, cliffhanger-packed video game adaptation is 8 hours of mindless, blood-soaked zombie fun. Just what you need to forget about 2022. I don't know about you, but after the week, month existence of 23rd of June 2016 we've had, I'm in the mood for some fun. If you are too, then hurry yourself along to Netflix's, and hold up. First and foremost, Lucy, if you haven't had any fun since 23rd of June 2016, the day Brexit happened, you need to seek some therapy.
Stop it. Get some help.
And if you think this series is mindless fun, you need to play the games. GameSpot wrote, Netflix's Resident Evil review. Easily the best adaptation of the zombie franchise yet. I want to know what kind of crack people at GameSpot are smoking to be this fucking delusional. And of course, the laughing stockpile of the gaming industry, the shit stain on gaming journalism, the Gamer, wrote this article with the headline, "I saw 2 episodes of Netflix's Resident Evil and it doesn't suck even a little bit. We spoke to Resident Evil showrunner Andrew Dabb and saw 2 episodes of the new Netflix show and it turned out to be pretty good." Well, considering they got the presentation off from Netflix and saw 2 episodes before anyone else, I guess arse kissing was on the menu. If it was me, I would have just said that, hey, you know what? I would be surprised if this series don't end up joining the Cowboy Bebop fan club. Right before the kind folks at Netflix hit play on the first episode of Resident Evil, the showrunner Andrew Dabb poked his head into the conference room and told us that events of the show take place on the same timeline as the video game series. Well, considering Albert Wesker looked like this in the games, and he had a son named Jake, I'm also intrigued how they're going to tie that in. But I'm not going to give in and actually save my time and invest it elsewhere. For the record, you know you messed up when Polygon, of all news outlets, Polygon, called your series boring. Hell, even Den of Geeks called it out. Well, with that, we come to the conclusion of this video. I hope you had fun watching it because it was torturous for me. There is a rich lore to Resident Evil universe, and for some reason Hollywood never gets it right. The CGI movies, although not perfect themselves, were loads better than the live action movies because, well, Capcom made them, and they expanded on the Resident Evil universe. And I guess the first Resident Evil movie, and I liked Apocalypse as well, but I don't know, but I think live action reboots, live action adaptations for Resident Evil, they need to get the right kind of people on board, man. We can't have stuff like this all the time. It's heartbreaking. Anyways, that's enough from me. I don't know when I'm gonna make my, next video, but if you like this one, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, consider subscribing. If you didn't like the video, then try changing your taste a bit. See, that helps. Peace out, angels, and stay awesome.